Thank you, Senator Polley. Senator Siewert.
Acting Deputy President, I rise to contribute to the debate on this legislation, the Aged Care and Other Legislation Amendment Bill 2014 and the Health and Other Services Compensation Care Charges Amendment Bill 2014. This package of legislation introduces several amendments to aged care and health-related legislation as part of the recent reforms to the aged care system in Australia, or I should say some of it unpicks some of the recent reforms to the aged care system in Australia. Together, these bills enact the government's 2014 budget measure to so-called reprioritise the aged care workforce supplement, amend the Healthcare Identifiers Act 2010 to support the implementation of the My Aged Care Gateway, makes minor clarifying and technical amendments arising from recent changes to aged care, and amends the Health and Other Services Compensation Act 1995 to overcome current impediments to the recovery of past home care costs for care recipients who receive a compensation payment. Now, most of these points the Greens actually support and don't have a problem with. They're quite sensible amendments. It's unfortunate that they have been lumped in with the government's so-called reprioritisation of the aged care workforce supplement. Unfortunately, one of the budget this is one of the budget measures that the government has unfortunately combined with these other measures and said that they would change when they were coming into government. Unfortunately, it's one of those promises that they are keeping, unlike their promise not to cut the ABC or SBS and myriad other promises that they have failed to keep. I wish they had failed to keep this one. The Greens, unfortunately, can't support this package of legislation because they are changing the aged care workforce supplement. This is a part of the Living Longer, Living Better legislation that we believe was a key part of that legislation, in that it addressed the historically poor wages for those working in aged care. So unfortunately, while we would like to support this package of legislation, we can't because of that particular measure. The Australian Greens participated extensively in the debate and the negotiations over the Living Longer, Living Better aged care reform package that was passed under the previous parliament, and we believe we secured a number of important amendments to this aged care package. The aged care workforce supplement is a component of this aged care reform package. As I said earlier, we believe it was as a key component and provides a mechanism to improve the wages of aged care workers. Under the package of changes through Living Longer, Living Better, there was changes to the workforce supplement because some of the aged care providers expressed some concern about the mechanisms. So there were some changes negotiated, which I know that some of the unions and those aged care workers weren't particularly happy with, that in fact there were some amendments that eased some of the requirements back for the supplement, but we believe that it met some of the concerns of the providers. It is extremely disappointing that a government that says it cares about older Australians, and I'll come to that point in a bit more shortly, sees fit to cut the mechanism that ensures, and it's key here, this mechanism ensures that aged care workers get pay rises, and the supplement goes to be spent on aged care workers. Under this bill, the $1.1 billion worth of funding for the aged care workforce supplement will be redirected to residential care, home care and flexible care providers of aged care services in the form of an increase to their basic subsidy. This is the key part, this removes the guarantee that an increase in the wages paid to workers in the aged care sector. And that is extremely important. It removes that guarantee. And we have seen in the past that without this guarantee, extra payments to providers don't end up in the pockets of aged care workers, despite providers, and I'm not slagging off at all providers, but providers have made assurances in the past where when they get some extra funding, it'll help to go towards paying the additional wages for aged care workers, and it hasn't. It hasn't resulted in better wages for aged care workers. The Greens oppose the government's efforts to dismantle this important component of the Living Longer, Living Better package of aged care reform. We remain strong advocates for the aged care sector, and including aged care workers. Aged care workers are an essential component of the aged care sector, and here we have the government undermining the very mechanism that could ensure that some of the lowest paid workers in this country actually do get better paid for the services they provide. Aged care workers are some of the lowest paid workers in Australia. Aged care workers that are going to miss out on this funding, which provided this funding was to be a supplement to, as the name suggests, supplement and improve the wages of some of the most low-paid workers in this country. This replacement of this subsidy will not end up helping aged care workers. As I said before, there is past experience to show that in fact this is not the case. We maintain that the money should go towards the challenge of making sure that some of the lowest paid workers in this country get the necessary wages and conditions that they deserve for the work and effort they put in. We have difficulty attracting skilled and trained workers to the aged care sector. Surveys of the aged care sector show that service providers can experience difficulties in attracting and retaining sufficient numbers of appropriately skilled and trained workers to care for the growing number of older Australians. Competitive wages are essential for attracting and retaining high-quality aged care workers and ensuring that the highest possible quality of care for older Australians is maintained. This measure undermines that. And in the inquiry that the Senate Community Affairs Committee did into dementia and complex behaviours, one of the key findings of that was the importance, the absolute importance and essential nature of having highly skilled, trained staff that actually have the skills and the competencies to support people with dementia. It was emphasised again and again that staff that have the skills are essential for managing behaviours and can actually, if they are trained and skilled in understanding the complex behaviours and cognitive impairments of those with dementia, actually changes the whole nature of the way that people with dementia are treated in the aged care sector. If they actually understand the nature of dementia and how you can manage these complex behaviours, it actually affects the restraints that are used, such as chemical or physical restraints, and it changes a person's whole life experience and quality of life in the aged care facility and also in the home care sector as well. So again, it comes back to, and Senator Polley has gone through the issues around the dementia supplement. That, of course, is also very important. But the training of people in understanding dementia and cognitive impairment and how their particular treatment of people with dementia changes the way those people have a quality of life and actually, as I said, needing restraints. This sort of cutting of wages deters people from going into that sector and certainly does not provide encouragement to go and get the training, because it is specialty training in dementia and cognitive and understanding the cognitive issues that go with dementia. It was quite plain in the inquiry that we held that it is essential that people have this training. Where's the incentive and the support and the reward for highly skilled, for people to go and get the skills that are needed, and they are very important specific skills? Where's the incentive when what the government's saying by cutting the supplement is that you're not important? We're going to treat you as second-class citizens and continue to treat you as some of the lowest paid workers in this country. We don't value the contribution that you make. We don't value the fact that if the payment is so low, we're not going to attract workers or encourage people to actually attain the skills that are needed to deliver the skills that are needed. And of course, all the statistics at the moment show the dreadful fact that dementia is increasing in this country, and we can expect far more people with dementia needing support and care as the population ages. Already we know we have a growing older population in this country. We know we're going to have a growing cohort of people suffering from dementia that are going to need it won't be called high care and low care into the future under the reforms, but high levels of care. And what we're saying is, as the population ages, as the cohorts of people with dementia increase, we are not going to ensure that the people caring for those people are actually going to be rewarded through better wages. Aged care workers have fought for years to get better recompense for the hard yards they put in, and it is the hard yards that they put in. We need to attract more workers to aged care. I've just said how providers are saying they're finding it hard to find and attract people to work in this sector because the wages are so low. And because it is challenging work, particularly being able to understand the skills that are needed, particularly for those with dementia, and as their behaviours become, particularly dealing with people with complex behaviours, those that are suffering from dementia. The aged care in this sector is under increasing pressure as Australia's median age continues to rise. Australia's population is growing and ageing as a result of longer life expectancy and changes to fertility rates. While with existing employment models, this trend will see a smaller and younger workforce faced with a growing number of older Australians. It is a bad time to abandon the aged care sector and to abandon the aged care workers. And for the first time in Australia's history, where we have more people moving into pension age each year, we have an ageing workforce. This will place enormous pressure on the system. How are we going to ensure that we have a trained and skilled workforce in our aged care sector? And we also know that the trend has been into the higher end, and at the moment it's called high care, but we know that people have been staying at home longer and going to aged care when they're older and with more complex issue, in other words, requiring a high-end care. So what we're saying here is that we don't actually care about the workers that are working in that sector. We don't care about the fact that we need to be attracting people into the sector. And on that too, we know that there's a growing need for care in other sectors. So we know under the National Disability Insurance Scheme that we are going to have an increasing need for carers, that we are not ramped up for that yet. And that is an issue that's requiring very serious discussion. We also know that under some of the other, under the HAC, we also know that we're going to need more people working in the care sector. So in the aged care, we also know that we are going to have a growing need for care. But we're not seeing is the investment through the supplement into providing the necessary wages and growth of wages for those that are working in aged care. It sends a very poor message to existing workers in the aged care sector, and it also sends a poor message to those that may be thinking of going into the aged care sector. And I'll come back to the issue about not necessarily believing that employers and providers are actually going to pass on this supplement as it goes to more directly to the providers. We know from past experience where additional money has been put into the system that it has not translated into a growth in aged care workers' pay. And in fact, if it had, we may not be in the situation that we're in now, where our aged care workers are some of the lowest paid in the country. So at the very time when we are talking about the escalating requirements and skills required for aged care, an ageing population, we are not investing in the workforce itself. We're going to find ourselves down the track with, again, the lowest paid workers in the system and in the care system in particular, at a time when we actually need to be desperately attracting people into into working in the aged care sector. This is a step backwards, and it is nothing short of ideological approach by the government because they don't want to see a mechanism that ensures workers continue to get paid. The previous government did compromise on this particular supplement, on this particular issue, and make it a bit easier for the providers to be able to negotiate the timing of this supplement and the way it rolls out. We think that while we reluctantly agreed to that because we thought it compromised the ability of workers to be able to attract and enable them to get a slight increase in their wages, but we thought it was a satisfactory outcome where providers were, we thought, happy. So this is an approach by government, ideologically driven, that undermines the wages and support for some of the lowest paid workers in the country. We do not support this change. It is untenable that the government thinks it's okay to take money, we're talking about $1.1 billion here, money that should go to aged care workers that do a magnificent job helping older Australians and providing care and support to the most vulnerable, some of the most vulnerable members of our community, and that is older Australians, and in particular those older Australians with dementia that are having to receive specialist supports for complex behaviours. This undermines the future of aged care. Just changing it to put the money into the pockets of providers who do an excellent job. And again, I will say, I'm not having a go at providers, but we know from past experience that when additional supplements have been provided without the necessary requirements for that money to go to be translated into workers' pay, we know from past experience that that has not occurred. This will happen again. If I was an aged care worker at the moment, I would be extremely concerned that I am not going to see the wages, the increase in my wages that I expected when Living Longer, Living Better was announced. Part of aged care reform has to include increased recompense and remuneration for the workers that keep that system going. A, it is fair, and B, we are not going to see an aged care system that provides the sort of care that is required if we do not address the issue of remuneration for the workers that provide that care. It is greatly disappointing that I am unable to support this legislation, despite the fact that there are many amendments that we could support, but the overriding focus of this legislation is gutting the wages of some of the most vulnerable and lowest paid workers in this country, and the Greens cannot support that move.
Thank you, Senator Siewert.